take a look at threat protection in Zscaler Internet Access. We come across to Policy, Malware Protection, and we can look at the malware configuration where we're going to inspect inbound and outbound traffic across HTTP, FTP over HTTP, and FTP. And it's important to understand that to inspect HTTPS, you need to do SSL inspection, which then enables it to be inspected as HTTP. So we're going to look for known malware, whether it's viruses, unwanted applications, Trojans, worms, or ransomware, as well as known adware and spyware. We can always write an exception if something triggers to say, do not scan specific URLs, and we're going to explicitly block password protected files or unscannable files. If a password protected file contains a virus, it's impossible to scan inside that file. So we should block those files, and there should be a help desk process to have those files analyzed offline before the user can download the file. Additionally, we then have advanced threat protection, so unknown malware. So we have our page risk score, which we'd invariably set around 30, and a page risk score is generated based upon the content of the page, where the page links from, the age of the site, where the page links to, and objects on that page. We can then understand about command and control servers and command and control traffic by looking at the payload as traffic passes through the cloud. We understand malicious active content, again from the sites, vulnerable ActiveX controls, if they still exist, browser exploits and file format vulnerabilities through our feeds from things like the Microsoft Active Protection Program. We can explicitly block malicious URLs if we want to. We can also use our analysis for fraud prevention, so looking at phishing sites, suspected phishing sites by analyzing the contents and the page and how the page looks, spyware, so an infected machine calling home, web-based spam, crypto mining, where an infected machine might be making callbacks for crypto mining, and known spyware and adware sites can be explicitly blocked here. We can block IRC tunneling, SSH tunneling, and anonymizer websites by looking at the content and triggering within the IPS functionality. And we can also look for cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, which might steal cookies or malicious requests stealing content there. We can explicitly block countries, in this case, Iran, North Korea, Syria, perhaps add Russia to our list of sites we want to block. And then by looking at the payload, the transaction, we can understand if it's BitTorrent or Tor or VoIP traffic tunneling through HTTP and HTTPS traffic. So I'll click Save to any of those changes, and we can click Activate. We can always write security exemptions for things where we may be overblocking or you specifically want to allow a transaction through. So let's run some security tests. We can download an encrypted or password protected archive, and you will get blocked access based on policy. We're also going to scan through archives up to 6 layers deep. So this one has 5 levels of depth with the ICAR virus inside it. So it's triggering on the standard virus protection. If we look at files that contain embedded macro viruses, in this case a PowerPoint file, it's going to be blocked as a malicious virus. But we can go further and consider files that might be more advanced. So going through our Cloud Sandbox. So we'll try and download a Trojan, and you can see that it's been blocked here. Other things like our IRC tunneling. As a request, it's trying to tunnel IRC over an HTTP connection, and it's blocked because of that payload. Or a botnet command and control traffic because of the payload, again, triggering the call home to say my machine is infected and I'm waiting for a command. So there are many different vulnerabilities that we might consider passing through and scanning with Zscaler Internet Access. So let's come back to the dashboard and let's look at our security dashboard. So we can see that we've triggered for a number of files. There are files that have gone through the sandbox and files that have triggered based on viruses. And we can see the different types of communication, browser exploits, unauthorized communications, malicious content, or botnet callback. So if we go into our analytics And let's take a look at the web insights. And we've done this over the last couple of minutes. Let's apply some filters here. And we can see the traffic and we can see how it's been blocked and why it's been blocked. So if we look at the logs over the last 5 minutes, we can see the files. We can see the iCar virus was blocked. We can see the PowerPoint files. We can see the IRC tunneling. We can see some other server probe traffic that was blocked.